Well, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and I mean good evening. Thank you so much for being here for tonight's screening of A Private War. What did you think?
Amazing.
Amazing. Well, for her tour de force performance, please welcome Rosamund Pike. What a day for you. I mean, you started the day in a very different place, and since the movie has premiered at the Toronto Film Festival, which was a late edition too, they were like, we gotta show this. But how have things changed for Marie Colvin's family just in the last couple of days? Like, what actions sort of have been taken just since since you were had a screening for the Washington Post?
Yeah, well, 2 days ago we were at the Washington Post and I was with Marie's sister. Thank you all for coming, by the way, tonight. It's lovely to see so many people. It means a lot. But Marie's family are actually bringing a lawsuit against the Syrian government. Wow. They are, they have a body of evidence to say that she was targeted by the Assad regime and killed, and perhaps even tracked ever since she left Beirut on her way into Homs. So that's very exciting. And apparently individuals can't actually bring charges against countries except when that country is seen to be in breach of many international regulations, which the Syrian government is. So it seems that an individual can bring charges against a country. So Kat Colvin is fighting for justice for Marie, but really in the name of all journalists, because, as Marie would have wanted, it's the knowledge of just how many journalists are killed every year in pursuit of fighting for the truth and getting stories to us. And of course, many of those journalists are not Western journalists. Inside Syria, many of the journalists killed are actually Syrian.
But this movie is not just a tribute and a testament to Marie Colvin. It's a tribute and a testament not only to war correspondence, but to journalism in general, which from the strangest place, from the very, very top, it seems to be under fire. And here's a film that says, this is real news, and this is as real as it's going to get. And like, to have a movie like this out now, it's the timing and the relevancy. It's just kind of baffling to me, isn't it? To you?
Yeah, I think when you make a film, you hope that it's going to be timely or have a relevance when it reaches the screen. But I don't think any of us could have predicted quite how relevant it would feel. Suddenly there is the very strong sense that it is a very, very tough time for journalists. The press pack are being targeted and defamed at political events in America, and people are trying to silence truth everywhere. In fact, I think it's actually probably a positive time for journalism, because hopefully people will fight against the backlash and really feel that there is real value to their work and that there's a tide of public support for it. But with the murder of Jamal Khashoggi and that absolutely brutal, shocking realization that someone can, it doesn't even happen in a war zone, it happens on the streets in a pretty prestigious building in Istanbul. And it feels like the laws have all changed, and you cannot be protected by just saying that you're a journalist, which at one time that was a shield for people.
Yeah,
journalists were not targets, now journalists are targets.
Well, in terms of just like this working with Matthew Heineman, who this is a first narrative feature, but his background, as a documentarian, gives the film just such authenticity and immediacy. Why was that such a draw for you?
I think when I knew that the film was being made about Marie Colvin, she was clearly someone who was so charismatic, fascinating, courageous, not fearless. And I think that was what made her so courageous in my book. It's sort of having fear and going there anyway. That's real courage for me. But then I worried that maybe this was just going to be a biopic of, a story of a, sort of hagiography of look at this brilliant woman. And then when I knew Matt was signed on to direct it, I thought, oh no, he's going to have a fearless look at her. It's going to be intimate and penetrating, and we're going to feel the cost of this life on this woman, and he's not going to flinch from showing her flaws as well as, the admirable qualities that she had. And I suppose the fear for both of us is that we wouldn't get close enough to something that felt real. I knew that as an actress, working with a documentary maker, I felt so strongly that really he would rather be making a documentary about this woman, and had she lived, I think they would have been an amazing partnership. And my only real intention was to not think of it as a part. I thought as soon as I think of this as a role or a part, I'm going to screw it up. But I've just got to think only of being an embodiment of Marie to the degree that he can observe and follow and be intimate and watch her as he might the subject in one of his documentaries. So that was really my touchstone, was always, and for Matt, who I can sort of feel I can speak for at this stage, because it's been a really rewarding and intense collaboration from the word go. But he got a level of authenticity by populating our scenes with people from the war zones that we were covering. So we filmed everything in Jordan, but pretty much every background player in our movie is a refugee from one of those war zones currently living in Jordan, which kind of lent the film this very raw truthfulness, I think.
How does making a film like this stay with you, like change you? You can't I remember this as an example, after Steven Spielberg made Schindler's List, he couldn't go back to making a movie about cartoon Nazis in Indiana Jones movies. How does a movie like this sort of change, really stay with you even long after you've sort of put the filming part of it behind you?
There's a level in which this part in the film is sort of in my body and soul, I think. There's a way in which I still, if I talk about certain scenes, which you might ask me about, I don't know, but my heart will stop racing, and I'll feel adrenaline pumping, and sometimes I'm moved to tears. I hadn't met Marie's sister when we were actually filming. I didn't meet her till after we finished, but I thought about her a lot because Marie references her sister in the film, and then we were in the Hamptons doing a screening, and I looked up and I was in the middle of a Q&A a bit like this, and I was looking at the audience, and suddenly in sort of the back of the auditorium I saw Kat Colvin, who was someone I'd thought about, and I didn't realise she was going to be there. She was looking right at me, and I just couldn't speak. I couldn't. I felt this complete upswell of emotion. And I think the other thing is that I've now seen Paul Conroy, who Jamie Dornan plays brilliantly in the film, was with us on set every day, and he shared a lot of their experiences, and he also shared a lot of photographs that he took. The photographs that can never make a front page because they're too violent, they're too traumatic. And I can't unsee those things now. That is the reality of war is so much more violent than anything we're ever privy to. Because, well, it's a whole debate, isn't it? What is showable and what is not showable.
When did it sort of hit you how much of an immersion, not just emotionally, but physically, that this was going to be for you? You got the part, you did your research for it, but then it hit you how much of a physical transformation that you were really going to have to do for this.
It's funny, because sometimes you play a real person and you don't feel a compulsion to take them on in every detail. I did a film called The United Kingdom with David Oyelowo, and an interracial marriage in the 1940s, and we absolutely embodied the spirit of these people and felt their story deeply, but I didn't feel the pressure to be Ruth Williams in every detail. In the case of this movie, it wasn't even a question. I think I felt a huge sense that I wish people had got the chance to see Marie, because as soon as I saw the footage of her, she was so electric, she was so compelling. When she spoke, you just wanted to listen. You know, it was never about look at me, it was a kind of, there was a sort of ferocious intelligence that and a compassion combined that made you want to pay attention. And she cut such an unusual figure. You could feel this woman's whole career in her body, in her physicality, and I thought, I just want people to see that. And I want to try and embody that in me. And I work with a dancer, because dancers are very eloquent in the language of the body and finding where, you know, I can see where it's situated. She can help identify where certain tensions are situated. You know, it was months in a rehearsal studio, you know, thinking how she sat, thinking how she walked, running with a backpack, sitting, smoking, you know, with the eye patch, without. It was feeling, you know, feeling the movement of her hands, studying. There's an interview she did with Oliver North, which is on YouTube. It's just a talking head, really, but the more you see it, the more you see, and you see the little tells. You see when she kind of fiddles with her eye patch, when she's stressed, or you know, there's always a fear of sympathetic blindness. If you're blind in one eye, you fear losing sight in the other. And her voice, you know, if I wanted to get her voice completely sort of, and then if the voice had come out of my physicality, it wouldn't have made sense. It all needed to be the whole of this woman, and the hair, and I had to be older and work, you know, very closely with prosthetics, and you know, while never making it feel like a mask. I hope you'll agree it's a good makeup job.
Yeah. How long did that take, by the way, to get all?
Well, it was because the only thing that sort of reassures me in that what this can do, which a documentary can't, is we can span the 10 years, so we can see Marie age. And you know, we had a tough time schedule. Denise Kum, who did she was the prosthetics, hair and makeup designer, and we've actually done 3 films together now. And we have a language, and we've got it down. I can't remember what it took, maybe under 2 hours, I think. But you know, I was wearing a forehead piece, a neck piece, eyepieces, the wig, and then lots of. It's a fun job, you know. They do the reverse of what sort of most makeup artists do.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you know, knowing sort of the surfacey stuff that I knew about.
We can always listen to that instead.
You have a question? Okay. The surface sort of thing that I know about Marie Colvin was I felt like I expected her to be like indestructible, like invulnerable, and I was surprised by how vulnerable she really was, how you know, complex and a character she was, and how you know, she had suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder. Like, I didn't know any of that before I saw the film, and that, you know, she was still very, very good at her job. You know, I mean, like, what were the challenges to play someone who had so many complexities that were more emotional than physical?
I think finding the truth of it and finding how far I could go. You know, I interviewed a lot of her friends, won their trust, and really wanted to be on sure ground that when I went to the dark places of her soul, that it was respectfully in the realm of the kind of things she experienced. And it's funny, you know, we filmed the first part of the film in Jordan and then had a Christmas break and came back to London. And I thought, well, really the tough stuff is probably over now. But in fact, the tough stuff was yet to come, because really the toughest part of being the correspondent is actually when you're home alone with your thoughts. And Matt has a way of filming where, you know, he really wanted, the PTSD was very, very important to him. It was very important to see what the cost of that kind of courage is on somebody's mind. And you know, there were many scenes where there was no plan. It was just me, him, Bob Richardson, and a sound guy in the room. And it was, you know, 25-minute takes of just exploring, of letting me go to the dark places of the soul, I suppose, of, you know, feeling the things that she'd seen and letting them in really, and it was scary because I didn't know what my body was going to do. I didn't know what was going to come out. There's no plan
Sure.
when you do something like that, when you're exploring grief, trauma, you're processing information, having a panic attack. You don't know how your body, you trick your mind to believing it's real. Your body then responds as if it is real, and you don't know what's going to be the result.
So Jamie Dornan had Paul Conroy there with him. Let's say you had the choice. Let's say Marie was with us. Would you have wanted her there, or would you have been?
That's a very hard
No,
question.
thanks.
That's a really hard question. You know, the very first day on set, I felt terribly shy of Paul Conroy being there. You know, here was I dressed up as his close friend, you know, and I saw him sort of walking, and it was so emotional because, you know, I looked pretty like her at that point, and there were moments that it got terribly real. There was a moment in Homs when we were laughing. There's a scene where we're kind of, you know, when everything's really kind of looking very, very bleak. They have a joke about, you know, last time I booked a vacation on the internet. And he said, "My God, that made me miss my friend so much."
Oh wow.
He said, seeing that, and similarly when we did the broadcast, because of course that broadcast that went out with Anderson Cooper on CNN, so many people heard it, but it was audio only. So really, Paul was the only person who'd been in the room when Marie was making that broadcast, and you know, it was a very intense moment that I felt kind of completely in her. I felt the complete certainty of what I was saying, and like I was speaking truth to the world about a situation. And, you know, Bob Richardson was down there with the camera. No one had seen that. No one had seen that the building was shattering around her as she kept her cool. And I stayed there, I don't know, we did maybe 2 or 3 times through that speech at the end, and you know, with Anderson Cooper, and then I went out and Paul was just sobbing by the monitors, and it was time and time again with things like that where you know, yes, you're giving a performance, but what you're bringing back to someone is so much more than that, really. You know, what the whole meaning is of what you're trying to do is so much greater than. It certainly isn't about me, is what I'm trying to say. Really, you know, it was about something. It was about what Marie did, and suddenly you realise the magnitude of this is that Paul was there in the room, you know, and they were minutes away from her death, and
wow,
and all of that was suddenly very, very close to home.
So in the time that the film started screening, first in Toronto and then other places, and now that it's open, getting that sort of reaction from someone like Paul, and then you said that you saw Marie's sister in the Hamptons. You know, the reactions that you've gotten, like, that you feel more and more like of a sense of relief.
Yeah, huge relief. It started off as a very scary place. You know, I realised soon after signing on to do it that very, very few people wanted to talk to me, because people were so fiercely protective over Marie.
Right.
And were, you know, ambivalent about there being a film made about her. And at one stage I thought, I've got to give up. I'm never going to be able to do this. I don't, you know, without the help and support and conversation that you can get from friends, how can you approach this truthfully? You know, I have no interest in making this, you know, my version of a heroic war correspondent. Absolutely zero interest in that. My only goal was to bring her to as truthful a life as I could. And so without them, and you know, one of the first friends who agreed to talk to me was very resistant. You know, she said, "I'm just never going to like anything that's made about Marie." You know, that's a tough thing to hear when you're embarking on a. And then I thought maybe I'd just give up, and I saw another friend. And then one day a taxi arrived at my house in London. It was quite emotional. I went down, the taxi said there's delivery here, and he took out his bag, and it was a sweater and a jacket that were Marie's. and her friend had just sent them to me, and she said, these were Marie's, and I want you should have them, and you should wear them in the film. And that was the first sign that there was some support for this. And then that gave me the courage to keep going and to keep talking and talk to her colleagues, and you know, it's a big thing, because I'm not, you know, and I knew when I spoke to people that, you know, they see me, they see this person sitting across them, and they think, oh, that's never going to work, you know, and yet you have to steel yourself, because you think, well, that's my job, you know, I have to just put that at arm's length, because, you know, that's what I do, and that's, you know, that's my, but it was meaningful. And then at the London premiere, it was actually wonderful. Let me just tell you a minute about it. The London premiere was in the middle of the London Film Festival. It was on the day of the huge Brexit march, where the people marched against Brexit. I was taken in a car to the premiere, couldn't get anywhere close, so I had to walk through Chinatown to where the screening was, so picking up prawn crackers on the bottom of my dress, and I thought, God, Marie would have loved this. This was exactly the kind of walk into her premiere that she would have just adored. You know, throngs of people, you know, banners and slogans, and you know, it was fantastic. But then I went into the building where we were having a pre-reception, and there were just so many people from the Sunday Times there. You know, all of her friends were there, and it was this huge kind of outpouring of final, okay, we're with you now.
What was the last scene that you shot?
The last scene that we shot is not in the movie.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, the last scene of the film was her waking up to go to the party, which actually the movie opens with them coming back from the party when they're stumbling through the door, and there was a scene at the party where in the end, I think, so what happened, I said that we worked with a lot of refugees, and suddenly a tone for the film was established. You know, sometimes Matt always says, I'll say it for him because he's not here, but he said, you know, when you're making a documentary, you end up with a story that you started out with, you haven't been listening along the way. And so, after we had the truth, so for instance, when I interviewed those women in the basement, where there was one basement in Homs where women and children were sheltering, you know, those were women for whom that was their story. They were women from Homs. So when that woman told me about not being able to breastfeed her child because of the trauma, and then she told me that her house had been shelled and she'd run out with her 3 children, turned back, and realised that one of her children was missing, and that child was under the rubble. I mean, I didn't know that was coming out. I didn't know that was the story I was going to be told, and it was like the barrier was completely dissolved. There was no cameras. This was a woman giving me her story.
Wow.
And telling me to take care of it, you know, get it out there. And so I think when you've had moments like that, then a party scene that's been written suddenly, in the context of this sort of utter truth that you have, doesn't fit. So in the end, there was a kind of, it opened with Marie at a party in London telling a great story, but in the end, that wasn't the movie we ended up making. So that's the end. So long way of saying.
Well, the reason I ask is because that last scene that you did shoot, you know, you're in character and then you're not. It's over. You're done.
Yeah.
You go home, you go back to your hotel, wherever, and you're done. So how do you sort of how do you decompress from that? From that? What does that sound?
It's a phone.
Thank you.
I don't know if you decompress. I mean, I think Marie is someone who sort of will be in me. I feel it now, you know, I feel her very strongly in me. I think that's a sort of strange alchemy of this job, is that things do live inside you for quite a while.
Sure.
You know, there's a sort of superficial letting go, but deeply in the sort of soul part of you, she's very much there. And so are the experiences, so are those people I spoke to and came into contact with. You know, I came into contact with people as she came into contact, you know, and was given the privilege of sharing traumas and stories and feeling the weight of this grief that is not yours to feel, but boy, do you feel it. You know, so where do you put it? as a journalist. You know, it gave me huge insight into what journalists do and how much they carry with them. And yes, you know, of course they go and have a drink. You know, of course they need to escape. You know, if you have the time to have endless therapy, then you should, so be it. But the quick solution is out to the bar, isn't it?
I would love to take questions from the audience. You've got one. And wait, hang on. Here.
Hi, I was wondering, you inhabit the role with empathy and a sense of angularity physically. That's stunning, and it's awesome for us to watch. In fact, it's difficult to watch because it's so real. What I was wondering is, when you're in Jordan with your kids and she didn't get that chance, how you feel about that, and if it informed your act at all. And then the other thing is, I don't know if this audience knows that you actually were shorter after the movie. So they should know that, because that's beyond talent, right?
Oh, yeah, thank you for that question. I don't ever use my own life when I'm playing a character. I know I have heard that actors do that, sort of imagine their own situation and compare it. I can't do that. I don't do it. You know, imaginatively, I only put myself in the mind of them, the character. I do often wonder if Marie had been a mother, how it would have affected her decisions. And I think it was very painful to her that she couldn't have a child. And she tried. I think it was. But whether she would have been whether she would have been equipped to be a mother with all that, you know, was in her mind, I don't know that either. She had a stepdaughter at one stage. There was a marriage before our film starts with a Bolivian war correspondent called Juan Carlos Camacho, who had a daughter. So for a while, Marie and he lived in Jerusalem with that little girl, Anna, who stayed close to Marie, and her father then committed suicide. I mean, there were big things in Marie's life that we didn't have room for in the movie. But yes, I think all that physicality that I took on, and I was very conscious of wanting to shorten my neck. And I then went for a medical. You have to go for a medical before every movie as an actor, make sure you're fit for service. And they measured me, and I'd lost 1.5 centimeters.
Oh my God.
Playing Marie, and I thought, my goodness, you know, she really is in my body.
Oh, wow.
You know, where's that gone? And I got the doctor to measure again, and sure enough, there was 1.5 centimeters missing, which I hope has stretched out again. I haven't actually measured myself again, but I've been doing a bit of stretching.
Yeah, your question?
Yes, during that movie, I noticed the addictions that Marie had, the smoking and the drinking, and I saw you smoking and drinking as that in that role. Did you suffer withdrawals when that movie ended? And do you see yourself in the future as an actress in some role where you're going home and smoking and drinking on the set like she was?
A good question. I mean, she definitely gave me a taste for vodka martinis. I won't lie. You know, I bet you all wanted a vodka martini watching that movie. It's a hard thing to smoke, actually. If you're not a smoker, it's one of the things that scared me a lot about the role, because I think, I'm sure there are smokers in the room. I know it's a bit of an outdated fashion now, but I've now mastered it when it's just really going out of fashion. Not very cool at all. You know, I knew that playing Marie, I had to make it feel like everything would be better with a cigarette. Every conversation, every drive, every coffee, every car journey, you know, everything. That's the best piece of advice from a smoker that I had. Just think that whatever you're doing, it would be better with a cigarette. And I thought, okay, I get it, I see that. And actually, Paul, one nice thing about smoking was that Paul Conroy gave me Marie's Zippo lighter to use in the film, and it had a map of, she got it from a veteran, a Vietnam veteran, and it had a map of Vietnam on the back. And on the front, she'd had engraved, you've never really lived until you've nearly died. And I had that with me for the movie. So there were a few kind of talismans, you know, that I had with me all along the way. But yeah, I mean, I think there's sometimes a sort of thing that actors think, or maybe it would be good if I got really messed up to do this scene. And I think generally the rule is it's better when you're not too method about it.
Well, I've got time for one more question, so let's take that one. You got a question?
Where were the Sri Lanka scenes filmed?
Interesting, right? So that was also in Jordan, but the Jordanians on our crew literally could not believe that was in Jordan. They said, we've lived in Jordan our whole lives and did not know that kind of forestry existed. But, you know, our set designer did an amazing job of you know, all that was there were the trees, and she built the whole Sri Lankan village for that one scene. I mean, it was really superb. And then we found Sri Lankans, and I mean, Matt did an astonishing job. I mean, he interviewed every single background person you see in the film, like personally interviewed them. He took months just talking, which is very rare. Most background is cast from photograph only, you know, by someone who is not the director. And it was very important to him, I think, you know, from coming from documentaries. His fear was that it wouldn't feel real when he moved into narrative, and that he wouldn't have the liberty to explore those happy accidents, to explore the kind of, you know, the spontaneous things that happen when you're shooting a doc. And he did, you know, that's what he had the liberty to do because of the way he set up the film.
So 2 things, ladies and gentlemen. Just I'm going to ask you to stay seated while we split. But second thing, importantly, is to please share your love for